Well, hello and welcome to the newest edition of the Outdoor Workforce Expert Series presented with generous support from the VF Foundation. Today's session will focus on strategies and perspectives on diving in as an outdoor entrepreneur, and I couldn't be more excited about the speakers we have in store. Before I get too far, if you require captions for the call, you can enable them by pressing captions and then show captions at the bottom of your Zoom screen. My name is Chris Perkins. I'm the Vice President of Programs at Outdoor Recreation Roundtable. I'm joined by my colleague Ambreen Tariq, Senior Program Director at ORR. And a little bit about ORR, we're a coalition of trade associations, businesses, nonprofits, and state offices of outdoor recreation that represent the full spectrum of recreation activities. That means hiking, biking, skiing, climbing, hunting, fishing, boating, motorized, RV, hospitality, camping, horseback riding, you name it. And this enables us to speak with a unified voice on the benefits of outdoor recreation and also strategize internally about what the industry needs to succeed now and into the future. And collectively, we represent a $1.1 trillion economy as measured by the US Bureau of Economic Analysis that creates 5 million jobs across sectors, some of which you'll hear about today. And among our many priorities at ORR is developing a strong and resilient workforce. This is actually the fifth session of our Outdoor Workforce Expert Series, and you can view the rest of these sessions along with tons of resources on building careers in the outdoor workforce at ORR's Workforce Hub, which I will link shortly in the chat. This conversation is particularly cool because entrepreneurship and innovation are core to the success of our industry. And this is actually quite timely. Yesterday, Michigan announced a new $3 million pre-seed fund to support entrepreneurs across the state in the outdoor recreation industry. The fund will make investments ranging from $50,000 to $250,000 in promising Michigan-based startups that are commercializing cutting-edge technologies in outdoor recreation. So very cool, and congratulations to Michigan on this new fund. Today's session is particularly cool in that it's co-hosted with Together Outdoors. And I want to turn it over to my colleague Ambreen Tariq, Senior Program Director at ORR and Program Lead for Together Outdoors, to talk more about Together Outdoors, as well as her own experience as an outdoor entrepreneur. Ambreen, take it away.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris, and thank you everyone for joining us. I'm really excited. Chris put a lot of really hard work into bringing this together, and I'm grateful that this is a partnership. So I recently joined ORR in terms of, it feels like maybe 6 months or so. I have a background in the federal government, and I also dabble in being an entrepreneur, and I have done so for several years when I founded Brown People Camping. So I'm very passionate about this conversation, and especially this panel, because in leading Together Outdoors, the equity arm of ORR, we are focused on whether it's internal or external, really helping build capacity for those who are trying to get everyone outdoors, from businesses to associations to grassroots organizations to entrepreneurs, right? The future of Together Outdoors, which is only a couple years in, is really hopefully to be an incubator for innovation in our industry. And there is no area that requires more creativity and more disruption and thinking outside of the box than our equity work, because it is so deeply linked to history and land use and requires non-traditional solutions to move an industry which is deeply linked to culture. So it's very exciting to me to be able to work in this space. And when I started Brown People Camping in 2016, it was a small project, a storytelling project, to share advocacy and promotion about diversity in the outdoors through storytelling. And it very quickly grew into a lot more than I had anticipated, but it's always been important to me to have a day job, as I'm a trained attorney, and do other things. So my perspective when we talk about these issues as entrepreneurship is I'm thinking about all the hard learned lessons for me along the way, not being a small business owner, but having to learn it on my own and not necessarily having those networks, but what is a 1099? What are my tax liabilities? How do I compete in this market? Who are my allies? How do we network? It's endless, and it's a space for creativity and resilience. And I find inspiration from so many people in this movement, including my friends on this panel and everyone on this panel. And I'm very excited to learn about what we're going to explore today is just the diversity and journeys in people's careers. And as an entrepreneur, this is your life's work, right? It's so much more than a day job. It's all consuming. So I'm very excited to get this started, and we'll be taking Q&A at the end so we can make this interactive. But yes, thank you all for being here, and let's get the show going.
Awesome. Thank you, Ambreen. So the schedule for today is we'll hear first from Founded Outdoors on outdoor entrepreneurship in general. They'll share some resources and advice. We'll then hear 4 flash talks from entrepreneurs in different sectors, then have ample time for audience Q&A at the end. So if you do have questions, be sure to use the Q&A function in the chat so we can pull them up toward the end. And without further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce our first speakers, Katie Doherty and Enhao Lee, the co-founders of Founded Outdoors. Katie and Enhao, thanks for being here, and take it away.
Flash talks, I like that. Thank you, Chris and Ambreen and the ORR team for having us and for organizing this event. And thank you, Ambreen, for bringing your entrepreneurial skill sets to the outdoor industry in so many different ways, including at ORR. Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Doherty. I'm one of the co-founders of Founded Outdoors. At Founded Outdoors, we build resources and programming for outdoor entrepreneurs. Now, when you think of entrepreneurship, what comes to mind? Maybe it's freedom from a micromanager boss, or flexible afternoons spent climbing, or early retirement so that you can spend more time doing what you love outside with the people that you love. Typically, though, as Enhao and I and any of the founders on the call know firsthand, being a founder usually is not glamorous. As an entrepreneur, it's all on you. You have to wear all the hats. As Ambreen said, it's all consuming, which makes work-life balance hard to achieve. And it can often feel like a long and lonely slog with a lot of uncertainty. Entrepreneurship, though, is also very meaningful. As an entrepreneur, you're continually learning new skills and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. And most of us entrepreneurs, we really just can't help ourselves. We're attracted to a challenge and driven to create and solve problems for our communities. Now, to build an enduring business, it takes practicing many different skill sets. It takes learning the ins and outs of the industry and building a professional network to find partners and funding. Historically, however, there has been limited and unequal access to these important business building resources based on where people live, their wealth, race, gender, and other factors. At Founded Outdoors, we're trying to change that. Enhao and I have spent the last 10 years building companies and supporting entrepreneurs. And we want to make it possible for anyone who has the grit and the vision to build a successful, and I think even more importantly, soul-filling outdoor business. Now, the way that we do this is twofold. First, by providing community, and second, through structured educational programming. Our community, you'll hear from some of our community members today. It's for founders who are building products and services to equip people in their lives outside. We currently have over 400 outdoor brands from across the US. It is free for members, and the focus with our community is really peer-to-peer knowledge sharing. So founders can crowdsource information, get feedback, and share resources with one another. Our community is hosted on Slack, and we also have a database where we collect valuable insights, tools, articles, and service provider referrals that have been shared in the community so that our founders can easily access this information when they need it. In terms of community events, we do peer groups where members collectively work through challenges that they're experiencing. We also host workshops, fireside chats, and panels. Our speakers include more mature entrepreneurs, investors, buyers, and industry experts, some of whom you can see here on this slide. As often as we can, we get together in person at trade shows or during member-led meetups across the country. In addition to our community, we work with corporations and state groups to support outdoor business owners through structured educational programming, where we provide training and mentorship. With our partners at REI Co-op Path Ahead Ventures, we run an intensive 3-month-long accelerator program called Embark, specifically for early stage outdoor founders of color to help them prepare to launch their businesses. And we're really grateful to have partnerships with Jenny Kordick and our team at Maine Outdoor Brands and Brad Garman and his team at the Michigan Outdoor Industry Office. Brad and Jenny are really at the forefront of thinking creatively about how to support outdoor businesses. And we work with Brad and Jenny to do a variety of programming, including topical workshop series and everything from manufacturing to go-to-market strategy, as well as boot camps for entrepreneurs at the idea stage. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to hand it over to Enhao to talk about trends in outdoor entrepreneurship.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. I'm Enhao. So entrepreneurship has been easier to start now than ever before. From the ease of building an online storefront using tools like Shopify to connecting with an audience of billions at your fingertips through social media that we're probably all addicted to right now, to targeted advertising to your specific customer demographic. We even now have the growing power of artificial intelligence to assist us for the low price of $20 a month. But building a successful business continues to be challenging, especially for outdoor founders. It's because it isn't easy to get the funding to grow, as there are very few investors who focus on outdoor businesses, and debt financing options, although available, can be very, very expensive. COVID-19 has accelerated all of our reliance on technology and virtual relationship building, which has made it both easier and faster to connect with folks, but has also made it harder to reach and build relationships with big customers, especially think wholesale buyers, that used to happen in person at major trade shows like Outdoor Retailer. So now the key to standing out as a small business amongst the sea of competitors is in creating a better product and service for new and existing problems. To be able to clearly communicate your brand and your why as a company through compelling storytelling, and finally connecting authentically to an increasingly savvy customer base through every channel you are on. So I've been asked to dispense some advice for founders, so I'll start with aspiring founders. My advice is very simple. Just go do it. Don't let a checklist that looks something like this and a feeling of not being ready be the reason that you are holding back from starting. I liken being an entrepreneur to climbing a mountain. You can't just be a bystander, listening to other people's stories, watching stories, reading about other people's journeys. You really have to go step on that mountain and do it yourself. So I just want to let you know you are ready. Now, what do I mean when I say go do it, right? Easy for me to say. Go and see if the idea that's been keeping you up at night, that keeps coming back, go and see if it has leg. You probably started from your personal experience with a need. Go and see if anyone else feels the same way you do. First, go find potential customers that are similar to yourself. Go do customer interviews with them. What I mean by that is to really listen and understand what isn't working with their existing solutions for that problem or need. And then see if you can come up with a better way to solve that problem. I know this is going to feel scary at first, but I promise you this is the fastest and the cheapest way to do this, and it'll help you be more successful. Now, for those of you who are already on your founder journey, I just have some reminders. This is not really advice. You probably already know this. We all know that the journey is lonely. So make sure you have a professional support system. We like to call this our personal advisory board. This doesn't need to be a formal thing. It doesn't need to be an actual board, but it needs to be people you respect, with whom you have built a relationship with over the years that you will update regularly about your business. This is giving you accountability, but also we recommend that you email them regularly, at least quarterly, if not monthly, with what you're doing. During these emails, you can ask people for feedback, for support, and for connections and anything else you need. Finally, there are always lots of failures on this journey. You're going to fall on your face a few times and may already have. It's important to remind ourselves that we want to reframe failures as valuable learnings. Every failure is a chance to learn, to get smarter, and find an even better and new path forward. What better way to learn more about the entrepreneur journey than to hear from some actual outdoor founders coming up in today's session? So at Founded Outdoors, we believe that change in the outdoor industry is led by small companies who see opportunities in the overlooked, in the unexpected, and in the unexplored. Thank you.
Katie and Enhao, thank you so much. Such inspiring work going on at Founded Outdoors, and the perfect segue into the flash talks we're about to hear. And without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce my friend Camilo Barcenas, the founder of Goes Health, to talk about his very cool climate, nature, health intersection technology that he has been working very hard with a phenomenal team to pull together. Camilo, thanks for being here, and please take it away. And you're on mute.
This is not being able to turn off that mute button is the equivalent of doing that falling on your face that Enhao was just sharing.
It's about where you land, not where you started.
It's about reframing it as a learning.
There you go.
Thanks a lot, Chris, for having me here. It's really exciting to tell you guys about Goes, about our journey. And I'm the CEO and co-founder of Goes Health, the world's only outdoor health platform created by wilderness medicine experts. This is a live QR code to download the app, and I'd invite folks to download this while I share with you all the quick story about a gentleman named Bill, age 67. And about 4 years ago, Bill went out on a hike. Bill's 67 years old, he's got 3 children, and in the middle of summer, went on a hike about 30 minutes north of San Francisco. And something happened to him that a lot of us are afraid of, which is he got bit by a snake. And Bill and his wife rapidly went to the emergency room. Fortunately, they lived next to a first-class emergency room. While they treated him, they discharged him. They said, hey, you'll be okay. Things will settle down. About 6 hours later, Bill's leg had tripled in size and it had turned black. And his wife started furiously doing research on Google. And she found a peer-reviewed paper about snake envenomation in humans. And it turned out that the author was a gentleman named Dr. Grant Lipman, who helped in creating wilderness medicine as a medical specialty at Stanford. And before I tell you what happened next, I want to share with you guys a quick video about who we are today.
Introducing Goes Health, your ultimate outdoor safety companion. Available now for download. With direct access to real-time weather risks and the world's best wilderness medical knowledge, Goes guides you to the right information at the right time. From sea to summit in rain or shine, explore in confidence no matter how, when, or where you're outdoors. Goes Health. We'll go wherever you go. Download now.
So,
Introduce.
this was the impetus and the genesis of Goes. Bill's wife, Sako, drove Bill down to Stanford, where they met with Dr. Lipman. And fortunately, because there was a group of experts of wilderness medicine, they were able to triage Bill and save his leg and save his life. This got us working on this original platform. And during the summer of 2020 COVID, we reached out to the search and rescue rangers from the National Park Service, asking them if they would help us. And during COVID, we had search and rescue rangers download the app. They tested it out with folks, and this was the beginning of GOES. Today, we've grown into a team of 27 wilderness medicine experts that have created our platform, along with my team of co-founders. And what we identified as the problem that we're trying to solve is something that we're all facing, which is that with the weather that's changing, there is more and more danger that's appearing to folks. And with the trend of more people going outdoors, what this has resulted in are more injuries, to the point where the increasing weather impacts to folks are it's a huge burden that has values of injuries and deaths that we've dug into, identified what we wanted to solve for. And what we found is that when these natural disaster events, when people go outdoors in their activities and things happen, that wilderness medicine information and best practices are inaccurate, fragmented, and passive. There doesn't exist an offline medical support for outdoor injuries and emergencies, and there isn't access to wilderness medicine physicians. So we created GOES, and what we have today is we've combined precise weather and natural disaster alerts with actionable wilderness medicine library. We've got offline self-guided protocols created by our physicians, and we have 24/7 access available to wilderness medicine doctors. Our doctors have also created this proprietary wilderness medicine library that includes over 60 topics available in the app, 27 medical care protocols that lead through hundreds of medical pathways, and over 30 how-to guides, all available offline. So when you download the app, you have it all available. The reason why this is really important now is because, as we've all experienced the last few years being the hottest years on record, this trend this year already has us as the hottest start of a year. And so by helping educate people around these risks and providing a tool, that's what we're really excited about. And we're focusing on who goes outdoors the most often. And we're starting with trail runners, bicyclists, fishermen, campers, hikers, campers, and pretty much anyone who's going outdoors to engage and connect with nature. So as a takeaway here, what I wanted to share with you guys is that go out there and be the change you want to see in the world. There's never been a better time with tools such as Enhao and Katie's Founded Outdoors that I'm a proud member of. All of these things are available to folks. And what I'd really recommend is find something that you deeply care about and then solve it with people that inspire you and motivate you. My team of folks are folks that I look forward to interacting with every single day. And the last thing is just to reach out in the community and ask for help, because there are people in the world like Chris Perkins who will create opportunities for you to share your story like this.
Camilo, such awesome work, incredibly inspiring. Not surprised to leave your presentation feeling like, A, we're lucky to have you in the industry, and B, that I feel safe and supported going into the backcountry thanks to GOES. And I think it's clear that you saw an opportunity and create a really elegant solution to solve it. So thanks so much for being here, and hopefully some good questions in the Q&A later. I want to invite in Germaine Simonson, the co-founder of Rezduro. And Germaine, I have your slides on hand to share. And if you would just like to let me know when to advance the slide, that works great for me. Germaine, are you there?
Absolutely, I am here, and you can go ahead and get the slides on.
Great, I've got your first slide up here.
Okay, wonderful. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. I really do appreciate it, and I'm excited about this. Again, my name is Germaine Simonson. I am a member of the Navajo Nation. We're located on the northeast part of Arizona. We the Navajo Nation is a 26,000 square foot land base, and we are a Native American reservation, and so we have a a big land base. So the way we begin, I think our beginnings are a little different. We did not plan on doing a mountain bike race from the get-go. It was really through my son, Nigel James. So if you look on the right-hand corner at the bottom and you see the young man with the white jersey holding a puppy, that is my son. And so it started with us at the age of 13, I believe. He really wanted to race mountain bikes. And so as parents, his dad and I, just kind of went along with him. And this came about from him joining a community ride in our reservation. As you know, we deal with a lot of, social issues, social problems. And there was a ride that was created to help bring awareness to some of those issues. And one of them was a suicide prevention. So I had a friend who did this ride all across the reservation and arriving at our Navajo Nation Council, our local, our big government administration, where the president and our council delegates all convene. And so it was bring attention awareness to suicide prevention, suicide. And, so it was a 300-mile ride. He joined, he loved it. That was probably the age of 12, 13 that he did that, probably 12. He rode all 300 miles and it was pretty brutal because summers we get to be 100+ degrees. And so after that, he found probably through YouTube that there was this thing called mountain enduro racing, mountain biking. And so he fell in love with that. We decided to do, so we took him to some races out. And so bringing some context to this, on the Navajo Nation, we don't have per se specific mountain bike trails. We don't have those kind of trails within our nation. Maybe some walking trails that have been sort of designed and developed here and there, but otherwise we have a bunch of game trails, animal trails, those kind of things. So from my family, we are sheep herders. My mom and dad have sheep. So in any case, it's a long story, but making a long story short, he absolutely fell in love. And so pandemic happened, and you can go on to the next slide. The pandemic happened, and he realized that as he was exploring his outdoors, front yard and backyard, he's decided that he's going to go ahead and create his own race. So initially, our beginnings aren't really about entrepreneurship in terms of the definition, in terms of making money. I think as a Native American, as a Navajo person, the way we came into this and the way it's because I felt like we received a lot of good blessings. My son received a lot of good blessings at the time. The New Yorker came to us and did a story. Also, Specialized wanted to produce a little documentary. So we just felt like we had some really good, there was good gifts that we were given. So as Native people, when you receive gifts, you also want to give back, because there's a balance in doing things. So you can't always receive. So our initial thing was, we're going to give back. And so because my son had a lot of fun, with his travels, with his biking, and that's how our beginnings started. And we hosted a race, and you can move on to the next slide. We hosted a race in which we wanted to give our youth, Native American youth, opportunity to experience something within their own homelands, in their front yard, within the Navajo Nation. And we, my son through the pandemic had created several trails. And at the age of, I believe 16, 17, he just said, Mom, we're going to have a bro race and we're going to bring all our friends together. And I just want to, because a lot of them served as his mentors. He said, I just want to have a bro race. And that's how we begin. So the bro race, we now are coming up on our 4th year. And I suppose I would have to work really hard at making this a business venture, only because on the Navajo Nation, I don't have all the business supports as somebody living in the city. The nearest bank to me is 2 hours away from me. The nearest bike shop is 2 hours away from me. So you may continue with the slides. So everything is really far, and all the resources that I need to run a business, and I've run 2 other small businesses before, and it just is incredibly difficult. And so in getting our story amplified, we were able to get the support of a sponsors, and that's how we were able to really be able to grow our race. So our race grew probably about 100% every year, and and that's a good thing, but also it could lead to burnout, especially if in our case it was our family that really came together. And you may go on the next slide. Our family is the one who really came together, and those are areas in our front and our backyard. And so our family is the one who really pulled together, and you see that picture from the first page, and that group of people they're the ones who volunteered and supported this 16-17-year-old person and said, we will help make this race happen. What do we need to do? And so go ahead into the last slide there. And so that's how we do things. And in Native cultures, a lot of what we do is through food. We believe that food is medicine. We believe that, if we can share our food with others, traditional foods and foods that we've had to create because of the rations we were given while we were in prison camps, which is the fry bread, so it's not our traditional food, but it's a food that we had to create because we needed to survive. And so those are foods. The bottom dish on the right is a blue corn mush. It's blue corn, and it has juniper ash, really good calcium supplement. And then of course, we added fresh fruits. And we share some traditional foods throughout the event. And for some reason, the racers just converge to the kitchen every time. They just want to be, that's the hub, that's where they want to be. And so that's, I know we only have a limited time here. So I'm sorry, but I really like the message that just do it. Maybe that's the reason why that's a brand, a motto, right? Just do it. And so the 17-year-old just saw the potential. We've been to races where he saw a lot of fancy things, but he said, we're going to make do with what we have. We don't have all the stuff, but we have trails, and we're going to time each other, and we're going to have fun. That's it. And so that has really been the highlight and the catalyst for the growth. And we are looking forward to our 4th year here in August. And we do, charge for the event. I suppose if I were, really into money making, I would charge an exorbitant fee, but to my core and to who I am, that really isn't. Oh, it's difficult, and so we keep it at a nominal fee, but we also really encourage our young Navajo kids to race, because this is the place in which they could come on the reservation in their homelands and be given this opportunity. So I will go ahead and conclude with that. And I appreciate, somebody said, just do it and just start it. Don't put any more extra thought, just do it. So, yeah.
Well, Germaine, what started as a humble bro race has evolved into something that is so cool and comprehensive and I think replicable in other places across the country, thanks in large part to your leadership. And I just want to commend you and your team and your family for pulling together something like Rezduro, which I think has given us all a lot to learn from. So thank you. I want to now pass it over to Jahmicah Dawes, who is the founder of Slim Pickins Outfitters, to talk about his experience starting and operating a retail store. Jahmicah, welcome to the call, and I think you're sharing your own slides.
Yeah, most def. Thank you, Chris. Salutations and praises to everyone. Germaine, that was such a cool story. Just kind of the origin story of the Rezduro and that fry bread. I'm telling you, I got to have that up when I got to spend some time 2 summers ago with the Gwich'in people up above the Arctic Circle in Alaska, and that fry bread. That's what's welcome to the cookout anytime. Man, that was amazing. Let's see, sharing screens. Here we go. Can everyone see that?
Looks good.
Okay, perfect. First of all, again, Chris, and Brain, thank you all so much for not just having us, but the support that y'all have continued to give us from the time that we got to partner together. We're grateful for it, and thank you so much for having us here, and especially with such an amazing panel of speakers. It's always encouraging when you get to kind of come up next to people with like-minded, especially within the industry, and especially with such a diverse group. I think we all can say that is not the outdoor industry as it currently stands, but I think by just our presence here, I can say that that's starting to change. Again, my name is Jahmicah Dawes. I'm founder, co-owner of Slim Pickins Outfitters, located in Thurber, Texas, population 6 people. We're also, and I'm coming to you from Strawn, Texas, which is right next to it, historic land of the Comanche, and yeah, we'll get into it. So we got started in 2016. We are an outdoor retailer and vintage shop, and we did not know at the time, but we found out quickly, I guess after our inception, that we were the first Black-owned outdoor retailer in the nation. So it's kind of founded here on these 3 core principles of act justly, love kindly, serve humbly. That was the core values for us, because that's just how we strive and aim to do life. And so our thought was like, well, if we're doing that in life or doing that in our community, well, then why wouldn't we want to do that in business? Oh, sorry. So who we are, a couple of things, again, kind of given the background of why we just kind of came into the industry was we not only thought, I knew that representation mattered. That's why I opened up the shop in the first place, because I just wanted to be represented. I wanted to show my kids that this was something that we could do, and not only could do, that we do on a regular basis of outdoor recreating, but on the business side, we wanted to show that was possible. Kind of what we say our makeup is: we're Black owned, but we're women ran. That was, I think, simply because women just get stuff done. I don't know. My wife says I don't know if I don't think I can legally kind of put that in a like when we're hiring, but off the record, just women just get stuff done. Again, our core values, kind of what we built this business around, because this is kind of what we built our family around: act justly, love kindly, serve humbly. Our mission is quite simple. We want to see the diversity of the outdoor industry specifically, because I grew up seeing and knowing that the outdoors, people that outdoor recreated, that was diverse. Still needing to become more, but it was. Again, when we opened up the shop, I quickly saw that just the outdoor industry was just very, just very one-sided, you know, kind of monogender, you know, monoethnic, just monoracial. So we wanted to we want to see that changed. And again, specifically in positions of executive leadership and ownership. Our mentorship mantra, and this is one of the ways that we see that, is by mentoring, whether it's brands, whether it's other BIPOC-owned outdoor retailers and organizations. We are here in Texas, where just even the access of land is an issue. It's starting to change and starting to trend, and finally in the pot and the at least I feel the right direction, in a more positive direction. But so for us, our mantra is simple: if we go to where the diversity is, we can't claim to value these things, and then when we see something's happening, just say, oh, you know, that's too far. Like, you know, again, this is Texas, it's a big state. You know, we want to go to where the diversity is. We value community that much. We want to be around it. Again, we want to not only breathe life into it, but it breathes life into us. So it's for us to then be able to come back here to a place, again, a super small town where we're not seeing a lot of diversity and representation, to just keep us going. And again, that through line, it's so important. As my uncle says, so nice, I got to say it twice. That representation really, truly, and genuinely matters to us. Now, why us? Why us? So often I think, and I think probably everyone here can, the fellow entrepreneurs can echo. Sometimes I'm like, why me? But why us? When we started to really kind of step back, and more than even just why us, just like why and how could it be that you know, it was 2016 and there wasn't another Black-owned outdoor shop. Well, then we started kind of looking back and looking at the numbers, but also some of the statistics, and we saw these things here. That I'm pretty sure, again, a lot of well, I know Chris and Breen for sure, but I'm pretty sure a lot of the other entrepreneurs on the panel have seen some of these stats. And so, again, one of the biggest ones that kind of hopped out to us is definitely, again, by that 2045, there, and just in the way of voting representation, you know, there's going to be a majority minority. And the scary thing about that is that right now, if we're not seeing more people having those transformative connections to the outdoors, well, then why would they want to vote with their dollars or with their voice to protect that, to conserve that? And so, again, we kind of see here this last little bullet there, that the potential for the outdoor community to slip under 40% by 2060 if we don't see the outdoors continue to become more diverse. But then again, I would argue and press even harder, if we don't see the outdoor industry, again, brands, organizations, retailers become more diverse, then I guess how are those kind of connections going to genuinely be made in a safe place, and with people that have a cultural connection, that have a cultural background, and kind of understand where each other are coming from. For us, with that, something that's encouraging, and every time I do one of these panels or I go and speak, I'm remiss if I do not shout out the community of people that are around us, because for us, when we found out, and it was a dark day, I remember when we found out that we were the only, my wife and I said to my wife, you know, okay, if we're the first, we're not going to be the last. We've seen that the work is working. So there are now 5 other Black-owned outdoor retailers across the nation. Intrinsic Provisions in Hingham, Massachusetts, Wheels Up Adventures, Cumberland, Maryland, Antelope Valley Overland, out in California, Outlandish, which is one of the newest, just opened in Brooklyn, just celebrated a year last month, and then Casa Bikes in Boston. I would be again, this would just be a failed attempt if I didn't encourage y'all to go and follow them, and if nothing else, follow them. But again, support with your dollars, support with encouraging other people to do the same. This is how we're growing. This is, I think, the only way to really kind of see that this is a viable option and attractive to the next generation to continue to do that and continue to grow and open up other BIPOC outdoor retailers. I guess some things to kind of leave you with, some, I guess you could say, tips. But I think, I never want to, I guess, necessarily give false hope. I want to be real with it. As I said up here at the top, I don't mind being a cautionary tale. As long as I'm the one that gets to tell my story. We're transparent to a fault. We'll tell you the mistakes that we've made, again, in hopes that as you're coming up, you can avoid that pothole or that pitfall. And so one of the things, I grew up hearing this from my grandma, and I thought my grandma was so wise with it, was you have to teach people how to treat you. And so I put here, my grandma said it. It wasn't only till later on that I found out that it was Maya Angelou. So I always just say Maya Angelou's in really good company. Just because it fails doesn't mean it didn't work. I loved the I don't know whose slide it was, but someone falling in mud. And it's just like, yeah, that's every Monday or every Friday. That's just a part of this process. That's a part of refining your idea, refining your dream, refining that motivation. That is truly just a part of the process of it. Don't romanticize the result in such a way that it conveys the absence of work. Just real dreams take work to achieve. They take it to sustain, to pass on to the next generation. I mean, that was something that once I got into this, I was surprised and amazed at how kind of fluffy and kind of fairy tale-ish a lot of things seemed. And I was just like, but this is not real life. This is not reality. Instagram is only the highlights. And so again, at the same time, when I'm sharing these things and some of these realness, the highs and the lows, we always try to do it around, and Germaine, I think you said it there, breaking bread, fellowshipping, to be able to encourage, to kind of have a safe and intimate space to still be able to get to know people, to direct and to encourage them. One of my mentors, Danica Carey, with Cirrus Outdoors, they're a cold weather accessory brand. She would always tell me, and continues to tell me, that there's this fine line between competition and collaboration, and that cornerstone being community. She would always say, like, we don't have the luxury to be so closed off that we can't be willing to help each other, to hold each other, to hold up each other. That's just the nature of where we're at with this. And honestly, I love that. I love that sense of community that I have found in the outdoor industry, and I think in smaller pockets, but I see those pockets starting to grow. There's a safety there. There's a genuineness. There's an intimacy that I really value and I really think is really precious. And this is one of my favorite quotes. It says, we are a beautiful letdown, the painfully uncool, the church of the dropouts, the losers, the sinners, the failures, and the fools. Because to me, it normalizes the idea and the reality that, like, again, this is going to take work, and that it's not always going to be pretty. And that's a part of the process. Like you're doing the steps. When you kind of hit a wall, that's not the time to give up. Maybe to back up, to reassess, to take a deep breath, to get outside and maybe get away from the computer, whatever, but then like to continue on. And those are the things that have helped me in this journey. And the biggest part is that I'm not journeying alone. And again, this is why these moments are so precious because I get to see faces, especially with the names that I've read in articles and all of that. And so glad to be here with you all. Oh, is this working? Oh, sorry. A few just really, again, cool moments of when I look back and again, I ask myself, kind of why me? And I get reminded that like this work is it's working, it's happening, and it might be why me, but it's not only me. And that in itself is one of the biggest things. So from me, my wife Heather here, my two boys, South and Finest, and then our Basset Hound Bill Murray. Thank y'all so much for having us.
Jahmicah, thank you so much. And I think what stuck out to me is not only are you pushing the big boulder up a hill of owning and operating a retail store and all that entails, but you're also pushing the boulder of the community and the work in the industry as a whole up a hill. And for that reason, we're just so fortunate to have you in our midst and also presenting today. So thank you so much for your time. Last but not least, a presenter I'm super excited to hear from, who's been a great partner in this work, Yvonne Leow, who is the founder of Bewilder. Yvonne, thanks for taking it home today. And you might have to stop your screen share.
Oh, no, I really appreciate the opportunity. I feel very honored to be following Jahmicah and also just to be part of this panel with so many familiar faces. Wouldn't be an outdoor entrepreneur if it weren't for them. And hopefully all of you know who you are. But that being said, I just want to jump right into it. My company is called Bewilder. We are the next generation's Boy and Girl Scouts of America. Our mission is to reimagine outdoor education. And the way we do that is by blending art, games, storytelling, and gear to inspire families who are new to nature. So you might be wondering, what does that all mean? So our target audience is actually reaching families who live in cities, who live really busy urban lives. At the moment, we design kindergarten through 8th grade after school programs, summer education programs. We lead them on field trips, and we're also producing experiential family events and overnight trips, all in the spirit of engaging urban students and families. A big part of our mission is not necessarily just to serve kids, but really bringing parents along for the journey as well. Our after school program is called Bewilder Club. So every week we teach kindergartners to 8th graders about local flora, fauna, and wilderness skills, and we produce content. We actually have a 5-minute video before each class featuring Mason, our Bewilder guide. We're based in Los Angeles, so we're fortunate enough to have a pool of incredibly talented actors as well as production designers. But we are basically introducing individual parks based in Los Angeles to students with the idea that you don't necessarily have to go to a Yosemite National Park or Joshua Tree National Park to be considered quote unquote outdoorsy, but rather the outdoors is everywhere. All you have to do is step outside. And if you want even more outdoors, you can just visit your local park. And that's been such a gift. I won't show any video clips, but you can find us on YouTube at Bewildered Club as well. And so we found that students really resonate with these videos, partially because they are familiar with watching a lot of content on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram already. But we're channeling this format as a way to really inspire them, to get them excited about nature. And we've created a whole universe with Bezzy the Yeti, our mascots, along with her Bewilder Beast friends, in order to get them excited about different aspects of nature, whether it's geology or flora, fauna. We are using storytelling to our advantage to try and entice kids and reposition the outdoors as not just a scary, dirty place that people, occasionally go to if you could score a campsite, but rather it is like the magic and our imagination everywhere, every day, at any moment. All you have to do is step outside and feel the air and the sun on your face. So as a result of participating in Bewilder Club, you are also able to visit Luna Supply Store. Every week, students also earn star points, and those points then translate to Bewilder Bucks at the end of the year. This is actually where we design a lot of our custom gear, as well as partner with important brands or other sustainable world-class brands to make sure that students are also embodying what it means to be outdoorsy. But we're really taking cues from what we've seen in other after-school programs, such as sports, that the moment you put on that soccer uniform and have that soccer ball and start wearing those cleats and those soccer shoes, it kind of elevates your identity as a soccer player. So very similarly, we think that when it comes to being outdoorsy, it's not just a concept, it's also an affiliation. It can be very much an identity, similar to how we might feel about how we spend time outside. And so as a result, we found that kids really resonate with being able to not only have this type of gear, but to have things that they can touch and be almost just like mementos from their outdoor experience in Bewilder Club. And of course, very practical gear that they can then use when they're outside. So everything from a compass, a headlamp, to a beanie, a backpack, to hiking shoes, we provide through the context of our after-school program. Our mission here is to make the idea of camping easy offline. So these are some shots from our last camp out experience with some high school river fellows through the Friends of the LA River, which is a nonprofit in Los Angeles, as well as online. And so we are currently in the process of redesigning our website to also make it easier for parents and families to buy gear as well. Here are some clips from some of the experiential events that we've produced in the past. We've also produced these events at schools as well as companies. And we partner with outdoor brands such as Decathlon, Fjallraven, Mirror, Adidas, REI. We're really big believers in trying to be a part of the outdoor ecosystem. And again, like trying to emphasize that gear has an important role to play in addition to the educational aspects of it. So for me and our team, we really believe that Bewilder is attempting to meet the moment of where we are at. The reason we take our approach is that we can't ignore the statistics today. Kids ages 8 to 18 spend on average 7.5 hours in front of a screen. And that's not just kids. I mean, we can all probably relate. Adults do that too. And then more than 90% of children older than 2 years old play video games, with 3/4 of American households owning a video game console. So we are absolutely not Luddites. We love technology. I was a former journalist myself, spent a decade in digital media. I understand the power of storytelling as well as the power of attention. What Bewilder and where we're really trying to situate the concept of the outdoors is just trying to change the narrative as to, hey, we understand this is where the world is moving. We understand that these are where kids are spending most of their time and attention. How can we take a slice of that time and attention and actually reorient them towards the environment, towards local flora and fauna, towards learning how to appreciate and conserve and feel a sense of stewardship around the world, with the world around them. And so, yeah, I think these stats speak to themselves as to how rapidly technology and media in the world is moving all around all of us. And so the question is, like, how do we adapt to this new changing environment and kind of bring the concept of the outdoors with it? Which is why we take the approach that we do, taking art, games, storytelling, and gear. These are all concepts that I think are very familiar to an urban household, but especially one I can identify with because I did not personally grow up outdoorsy myself. So I'm not a product of the Boys and Girl Scouts of America and all these wonderful organizations and summer camps and day camps. That being said, it really gives us like a unique perspective on what it means to have found the outdoors later on in life, but may not have necessarily grown up with it. And what are some of the ways that we can make the idea of a weekend camp out just as enticing as maybe one day a trip to Disneyland? So those are the aspects of Bewilder that I feel most excited about. Here are some lessons learned. Take it for what it's worth. I think every entrepreneurial journey is very unique, and I will also like double down on everything that a lot of the founders have already shared. Respect the 80-20 rule. This is a made up rule on my own, but what I've observed in my own entrepreneurial journey is that 80% of it is luck and 20% of it is hard work. Not to say that hard work is not mandatory, because it is, but it's also a deep, profound appreciation of just how luck plays into it. Everything from the fact that, being able to have the chance to meet some of the folks who are on this call, stumbling into those conversations, eventually being able to be even invited to speak on this panel. I can't attribute it to all of my hard work. At some level, there's a lot of luck and timing that is at play. And so with that in mind, I do think being able to navigate that luck really requires knowing yourself, understanding who you are, what your values are. It's an ongoing journey. People will say that, as an entrepreneur or a founder, you are wearing all different types of hats. I think the beauty of wearing all those different hats is that you actually get to know who you are in the process of wearing them, because not many roles in life require you to do so. I think that's been the most humbling and enlightening experience about Bewilder's journey so far, is that I've been able to really understand what are my core values, what are the principles that I believe in, and how will I continue to promote that over the course of building Bewilder. I'll just say this: find opportunities to work with good people. I know good is vague and subjective, but I think deep in your heart, you probably know what that means. I've often found that just working with good people who believe in the mission and the values more than whatever is being transacted, like the pay or the work-life balance, etc. They've been like the biggest advocates to move the organization forward and our mission forward. So I feel very lucky to have met those folks, and I'm constantly searching for people who believe in Bewilder at that level. Grow at the speed of trust. I think there's often a lot of pressure as a startup to somehow make it as quickly as possible, but truly, if there's any outdoor lesson to be applied to entrepreneurship, is really enjoy the journey and understand that when you're trying to build a mission-driven company, not just one that's trying to make gobs of money, you really have to apply that mindset of being patient with yourself, being patient with your team, and understanding that trust takes time to develop and cultivate. Finally, I would really like to just end on the note of just acting with abundance. I think that comes with the spirit of supporting the community, but really taking more like a long-term vision for our roles as founders, the decisions that we make every day. I know personally, I had like an instinct to be frugal and very short-sighted, because I wasn't necessarily always sure whether or not Bewilder was going to survive, and I'm still not sure on a regular basis. But I think being able to adopt an abundance mindset and acting accordingly has really enabled me to stretch and be surprised by where people and other members of the community, whether it's in the outdoors or the after school program or the different touch points that we have within LA, to continue showing us that you don't have to have it all figured out, but acting with abundance invites people to kind of step in and support your journey too. So thank you.
Yvonne, thank you. From a personal perspective, watching Bewilder grow and evolve, and particularly to meet the needs of families and youth, has been just awesome to follow. And I think we're really lucky to have you in the lead doing this work and setting an example of what the outdoor industry looks like when it actually invests in and connects with communities. So I just want to thank you personally also for being on today's call. Thank you so much for joining the webinar, everyone. This has been such a fantastic group of experts, and I wanted to talk about what you can do next. And I would say the first thing is to follow, amplify, and spend your dollars at these organizations. So I want to again recognize Goes Health, Rezduro, Slim Pickins Outfitters, and Bewilder, as well as our co-founders from Founded Outdoors, for their time with us today. You can also follow ORR and Together Outdoors at our website, our social media channels. We'll be posting more information about events like these moving forward. And Breen, any final words to wrap up today?
I'm really inspired by everyone's story. I feel like every entrepreneur has a story as unique as their own fingerprints, because it's so fed by personal life experiences and family and culture and just your inherent drive and grit. So I'm super inspired, and I love the theme of learning from our hardships, learning lessons the hard way, and just grateful for everybody for being so vulnerable and sharing those hard lessons, because they, at the end of the day, are the foundation for your success. So it's just, I'm grateful to also share space with our industry's examples of excellence and innovation. So kudos to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ambreen. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your Thursday and stay tuned for further events. See you later.